We are gonna be switching in. And what is it? Well, it almost looks like another Arabia. That would be kind of weird, to be honest. Or is it a bit more water in there? Ah, yeah. There's a whole lot more water. It's going to be migration from CZs. Interesting. Interesting. The civilizations are going to be a bit different in that there are Vikings and Mongols, or other Vikings and Japanese on both sides, of course, because that's a bit of a must. But the others are going to be switching. Yo is going to be playing Persians, whereas Yannick, rather Skull, is going to be playing Mongols. To be honest, on migration, when you see clans like, for example, NC, New Chapter, or Black Forest, yeah, the Germans are definitely quite partial to migration for some reason, apparently in the real world as well. They are in RTS League playing with Persians in there. Yeah, Black Forest and New Chapter are definitely one of the best as far as migration gameplay goes. Yeah, well, this definitely should be a bit better choice for the Chinese as well. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan is going to be for CZs, but even though it is their home map and they are hoping that they are going to be playing a better game in here, I'm not all that sure, because of course Chinese should be experienced enough through all the tournaments. But yes, we'll see. We'll see. It will all depend on how well they actually boom in the early start of the game. But if anything like the last game is going to be giving us a bit of a hint on that, yeah, Chinese definitely did boom better, and it paid for them big time. Otherwise, of course, we are on the Cyan Nations Cup maps, so of course everybody's going to be a ton of fishies all around. Not really any kind of disappointment in that. Gold is also going to be quite fairly spread on the middle island in there. So not really any kind of problem for anybody who is going to be landing absolutely anywhere they want. And yeah, just looking at the pocket position, for example, we are looking it's going to be error as the Japanese. Oh, that's actually nice for CZs, having Japanese in the pocket. That's exactly what you want to do, what you want to have for a bit of a nice fast castling in there. And on the flank, it's going to be Skull as the Mongol on the right side, whereas on the left, it's going to be Yannick as the Viking. Well, for the opponents, there is going to be Viking on the left as well as Lix. So that's a bit of a switch in the team in here, as China number 2 is right now being replaced by him. And, well, you could have seen Lix also playing in RTS League this season for the Frantics. But yeah, for the Nations Cup, he's going to be playing with Sai, apparently. Quite apparently. In here, they are going to be having pocket as Japanese also, so basically the safest and most fair way of actually spawning on this map. And of course, on the right side, it will mean that it's going to be the last player, Yo, and we are going to be seeing a fight between the Persian and the Mongol. So it's gonna be better? Not sure, but for the landing on the mainland, of course, I'll be really expecting that the Persian is going to be a whole lot better. It's going to be front dog from Skull, definitely not afraid of anything. He knows that as a pocket, his task in the early game is going to be basically protect his pocket position right now on the flank in here. So of course going to be helping his teammate a lot, and Valio is going to be playing exactly the same as he needs to protect the pocket position of Fengxin and let him spawn as many fishing boats as possible to let him boom as much as he wants. In the meantime, interestingly though, the Viking Lakes is going to be putting a dock at the back. That's very interesting. Wouldn't have expected that at all, but it seems like that it's going to be basically the same right now from Yannick. So they are playing literally the same, even though Yannick is playing quite a bit differently in here, as he's dropping his dog into the channel. He knows that actually on this version of the map from Side China, he's not going to be facing all that many problems with the channel, but he still could have. You can see there is a lot of emptiness in the deep water in the middle, and he definitely did get at least slightly lucky with placing the dog in that position. Does have a few deep fish in there as well. Really kind of curious why he places it this way. It almost looks like that he wants to protect this for some kind of fast landing onto the mainland. Because otherwise, why not really build it all the way to the back so that you are having a bit better economy? This is the reason I'm guessing for Lixis actually dock in the back, as he wants to be having access to the corner of the map for all those fishies for better food economy. But yeah, probably the next docks are going to be following up in the front so that he can fight against his opponent a bit more effectively, because of course he's the Viking, and so far he doesn't know that he's facing a Viking as well. But yeah, he's going to be learning that pretty soon indeed. Skull going to be advancing into feudal age as the very first one is 17 villages. Yo is going to be quite close behind, but with 19 villages, so he's going to be having 2 more. a lot stronger economy, and considering that it's Mongol against a Persian, you can kind of guess that it should be coming for your overall, and it quite probably will. Yannick next round to advance into feudal age. It seems like that Lix is going to be a bit greedier as well. Yannick 18 villages, Lix at 21 already. Yeah, just now going to be clicking into the next age. And well, the pockets, I wouldn't be surprised if they were advancing at about 31 villages, maybe even plus. Because they are in quite good spots. They want as many fishing boats as possible to boom. Already second dog being dropped by Fengxian in there. And yep, that's exactly what's gonna happen from them. So far, Error at 6 fishing boats and Fengxian at 7. So a bit better for Fengxian, but nothing really all that crucial for him. 1, 2, and right now waiting for the dock on the other corner. Whereas second dog has already been built by Skull in pretty good position, it seems like, as he's having a lot of deep fish in there. And it's also basically going to be controlling this part of the map, which he exactly needs to, as he needs to not allow Yo to go around him at all. Because that will be quite disastrous for his teammate. Looking at his goal though, it's going to be very badly positioned. Because if he loses water, he's going to be absolutely under fire in there, even in Castle Age by war galleys. So yeah, that's a whole lot more incentive for him and his teammates to win the water for themselves, because if they don't, this game might be quite short, to be honest. Quite short indeed. In the meantime, right now, Yannick is going to be following with the front dock. Interestingly enough, Lix not. Lix is just basically building everything in the back in here, even the fourth dock. This is definitely curious to see, as he's approaching the gate quite defensively, and basically maybe just being a bit afraid of Yannick, not sure, but I don't exactly think that he knows who's going to be coming against him. Yeah, he doesn't, because of course there's not much of a scouting to be had in the early game, as right now just Yo is discovering that he's going to be against Skull. It should be quite a good favorable matchup for him. And let's just make sure in the meantime that, yeah, the chat is going to be off, just to make sure nobody is going to be annoying us with anything in the later game. Already a bit of scouting going on by the sheep. Right now this is for Error, whereas at the bottom Fengxian is already having a few sheep there as well. And apparently so is Lix. And well, some first fights are going to be happening between the Vikings on the left flank. And it's going to be, of course, going to be slightly for Lix. Even though they are having the same numbers right now, Yannick needs to retreat because he fully knows that through his reinforcements, he is also going to be expecting reinforcements from Lix on that same account. So far going to be coming quite bravely a bit into the front. He knows he's having a one extra above his opponent yet, but of course there are going to be a few more coming out of these docks from Lix pretty soon. But yeah, he's kinda slowish. He's interestingly slowish, Lix. Lix is having 27 villages, Yannick 25. So considering that actually Lix is having so much stronger economy, even though he advanced slightly slower, he should really be already up to par with his opponent, which he right now is. And yep, Yannick just now recognizing that the extra boats are coming out, and he definitely needs to retreat from his position, as he would be just getting all that easily killed. In the meantime, on the right, there's going to be brewing quite a big fight between Skull and Yo. As of course, the few ages is coming in from Fengxian, and well, already has clicked in from Error a bit earlier. And you can see the difference in the villages, Error at 29, whereas Fengxian at 32. So, yep, quite a lot better economy for Fengxian. Even looking at the fishing boats having 3 more in there. So it's really looking like that Fengxian's position in the middle, in the pocket, is actually quite useful for Chinese, because he's playing it quite well indeed. He already played very well on the Arabia, and right now he's continuing in the same vein on the migration. And well, that really might be one of the ways to pull for the victory for the Chinese team. Well, this battle seems to be going for a Skull so far. Would be maybe expecting something a bit different. As we are right now switching on the left side, where apparently Yannick is still keeping his opponent quite busy in there. I was just looking at a bit of yellow right now next to Peninsula in here, but apparently it's just going to be a few sheep and that's about it. And there is already transport going on. And yeah, apparently Fengxin not having any kind of thoughts of joining the water battle at all, just interested in having his teammates cover for him in there. And he is already going to be moving onto the mainland. And it seems like with just one villager, it's going to be just for building the dock for a bit more efficient food gathering for himself. But of course, he's going to be following quite close behind with some town centers, because he's going to be advancing to Castle Age pretty soon as well. And well, that's then going to be a full-on boom from him. Are we seeing something similar from Blue? So far I don't really see anything like that. Ah, haha. Actually are exactly the same. Exactly the same indeed from Error in here. And Lau, Castle Ages, Lix, Yannick and Yo. Not really going to be any kind of significant advantage in there from Lix above Yannick, but quite interesting that actually right now Fengxin is going to be fully slinging, and I'm definitely curious if the opponents are going to be doing the same. Yo, Yannick, they definitely are. Error is also slinging. A bit stronger sling right now by Fengxin, and it seems that really both are arriving at basically the same conclusion as far as how the map is going to be played, the dock being built in there, and dock for Fengxin as well. So yeah, they are going to be continuing with the fights on the water and hoping that the water is going to be deciding more than the landing. But of course, this is of course going to be a pretty huge problem, because Yo is going to be in Castle Age pretty soon. He's going to be having range on those gold miners also quite in a few minutes. And that will mean an absolute disaster for Skull, of course, because yeah, he doesn't have enough boats to basically win the water battle just about now. Skull 31 villages, Yo at 33. So yeah, the economy is still by the 2 villages better, and it seems like that it's exactly enough to put Skull into fully heavy defensive in there. Yeah, it really seems like that actually Yo has already won the water battle. Skull is just now going to be coming into Castle Age as well, but it's going to be quite late. And yeah, this is going to be the game, rather the game plan that will win the game for size and lose it for CZ. This missing gold is exactly going to be a huge issue. A huge issue in there. In the meantime, of course, already going to be landing Fengxin a bit more in there for the gold on the mainland. As on the left, well, Yannick apparently doing a pretty great job against Slicks, keeping his opponent busy in there, and there's not really going to be any advantage at all, and the numbers are still quite equal. So nicely played by Yannick and Elix, as they are in pretty much a deadlock. And it's going to be up to their teammates to do something more significant in there. Building houses, transporting a bit more villages. But yeah, even though this is going quite nicely, I'm basically the same as on the bottom left side from size, I'm really fairly worried for the right, because it seems like that Skull has basically already lost the water, and there's not much of a chance that he could be coming back, to be honest. It really looks like that Yo is going to be ruling the waters in there. You can already see that deal is going to be landing. Already going to be moving off exactly the gold, as he's going to be denied that, and he needs to move as fast as possible, because he's going to be having only a few rooms around the town center for a few farms in there. Otherwise, he needs to transport as fast as possible. The ferry is working 100%, and unfortunately for Sai, Yo is not really paying enough attention, because he definitely should have seen that, and he should have prevented this kind of landing overall. But yeah, he didn't, which is giving a lot of chances to CZ, and especially Skull, to basically come back into the game somehow. But they need to be damn fast with actually covering the land for themselves, because if they don't, well, Red is already going to be basically killing the economy of Error in the pocket. And even if Yannick wins, he's right now going to be clicking up into Imperial Age quite a lot slower now after legs, because of the better sling from Fengxin. This economy is gonna die, and with that, well, Error and maybe even Yannick are going to be dying as well. So unfortunately for Skull, right now Fengxin has exactly discovered where he is and what's going to happen in there, with second town center being built just by him, and Yellow not really having all that many extra in there, but he's already going to be moving in as well. You can see that he's preparing with the transport ship. Going to be transporting quite a lot of villages, I would be guessing, in the minutes to come. Yep, for the town centers and whatnot. Out on the left, we are looking at Yannick advancing forward and trying to actually push on legs, thinking that potentially Yannick is going to be having a bit more of a chance for the control, because he's thinking that he's advancing into Imperial Age quite fast through his sling. But he's gonna see that he's not really as fast as his opponent, and he's just now coming into Imperial Age himself, and the Galleons are going to be coming in about a minute. First is gonna be Bracer for with battery attack, but just in tow is going to be Galleon. As on the right, yeah, the water is just going to be confirmed basically in power of red, but it's not really coming fast enough. Interestingly, into blue's base, and right now Skull is going to be trying to basically delay him as much as possible through the fire ships. Not a bad idea at all, because of course those fire ships are just going to be absolutely wrecking those war galleys. That's going to be working quite alright, but you mustn't forget that Yo is of course reacting to his teammate, scouting that Skull is on the mainland as well, and he's going to be trying to basically deny him and somehow prevent him from doing what he wants to do. Skull as the Mongol, he will probably produce a few knights in there, here and there, but in the meantime of course some monks, because he will need to get the relic, and much more importantly he knows that the Persian is going to be there pretty soon as well, and with him will come the horses with the bloodlines and whatnot. Galleon from Yannick and chemistry also, as right now Yannick of course needs to retreat, because he's just now facing a whole lot better army with the Bracer, and much more importantly Galleons. 165 against 135, that's a lot of difference in the hit points, and in the attack as well of course. 7 plus 3 against 8 plus 4, and range 7 plus 3 and 6 plus 3, so of course the Galleons are tons better than so far. The war galleys, now Galleons from Yannick. So this battle seems to be going quite alright for as far as CZs go, so this is something that they could be actually pushing off. Still a few fire ships in there, but of course the economy of Error is right now going to be really suffering quite heavy losses, as already Yellow is preparing himself for some kind of significant presence on the land, but much more importantly of course the knights are already coming up from Yo, and he's going to be ready to go into the opponent's base. But are there going to be enough monks ready from Skull? Not exactly sure, doesn't look like it all that much. Doesn't look like it all that much, but has to be said that Yo is still in the castle age also, and looking for example at some amount of villages. For Chinese, you're 57, then it's 53, 38 for Lakes. No, that's not really a big army of villages. But yeah, has to be said that Yannick is not much better off at 34, and Skull is at 54, Error at 50. So the economies are curiously similar still. And even though there is a damage into the water economy, as Fengchen is having quite decent 48. 49 already fishing boats, that's a huge economy for him. Error at just 33, because he's losing a lot of them on the water in there. Even though Skull is finally helping quite significantly with the fire ships, and it seems to be working quite fine. There was even a bit of bit of landing by Yellow on the little island. Oh man, that's funny. That is funny. I'm going to be trying to deny the gold basically even by the tower. This is very nicely played, of course, and it's working quite fine for him, as he's having docks all around trying to steal fishies from absolutely everywhere all across the map. But yeah, it seems like that Skull wasn't fast enough with the monks getting them up, and Yo is just a whole lot faster. And even though the water battle on the left is going alright, the GG is being called, because of course on the land Skull is absolutely out of position. Error is not going to be effective at all either. And well, Chinese just played it slightly better than their opponents, even though the game was as fair as possible. And apparently the Persians were a better choice against Mongols. That was quite clearly seen in the matchup in there, as well Yon just won against Skull in there. So achievements right now for game number 2. Yo is going to be having the high score in there quite deservedly, because he was the crucial instrument to Chinese victory in there, since he was able to beat Skull. Otherwise, on the left, Yannick and Lix, they were having as equal game as possible. And Error against Fengchen, that was also quite close, even though Fengchen was having slight advantage in there. It wasn't really anything that great. That couldn't be overcome with some proper play. Maybe even by Yannick overpowering Lix in the end. But that's not what the game resulted into. Yeah, through the better economy of Fengchen, even the stronger sling in there by 1,500. It's actually a lot. That's a tenth. That makes a ton of difference, that kind of resources. And he was slinging both Lix and Yo. Whereas Error was slinging mainly into Yannick. That's also part of the reason why he was able to keep up with Lix so well. Okay then, GG.